When it comes to individual people, everyone has violent and homicidal impulses. Like you may hear, for example, somebody say, well, my boss is getting on my nerves, I'm going to kill him. Or this girl is getting on my nerves, I'm going to see how I'm going to kill her. Of course we know they're joking. It is a joke. There's venting, there's anger and frustration. Some of us suffer from fear, feelings of hopelessness, and that probably will make us want or think we need a gun. Most of us can acknowledge feelings of rage, fear, and frustration, and jealousy, and not act inappropriately or destructively in any kind of way that'll harm somebody else. Of course. Like me, when I was the age of 19 years old, 17, 16 years old, someone who wasn't able or consciously willing to admit that I had such unacceptable emotion. I had higher than average levels of rage and frustration and anger that would cause me to lose control of my emotion and hurt someone or fatally abuse someone. Some people think good people have no feelings such as that. And in fact, all people have feelings like that. All people. To some of my neighbors, I was one of the good kids on the block. I cut the hedges or the store for them, paint the porches, put the trash out for them. But when 30 cops came to my block and banged down my door and locked me up for homicide, changed their whole perception of who I was. See? The reality is that we all have those impulses, those emotions. Some of us are able to control them. Some of us are very conscious of them. Some of us are not conscious of them or unable to control them. So looking into the mentality behind the gun. Some would say, well, why did you carry a gun? 15 years old, 16 years old. I say because my lifestyle demanded me to carry one. I was a hustler. Sold drugs. I had to protect myself, protect my product, protect my friends, protect my family. So I carried a weapon. How was I able to get a weapon? Easy. Person who was in possession of a gun, legally. Got on high, got drugs, sold me their gun. They wanted some drugs, they wanted some work. So I was able to purchase guns. Sometimes 2 or 3 guns, 4 guns in my house. And the same thing as my other friends. Some people come to the hood, come to the clubs. Went to the gun store and bought guns. Went to some of these gun events and conventions and bought bunches of guns, a lot of guns. Brought them to the club. Seeked out the drug dealers. Look, y'all got guns in the trunk. You want to buy some guns, wholesale, Mac 10s, 9mm, everything. Became infatuated with guns. Everybody in the neighborhood had a gun. I loved my gun. I loved it. So much that I walked with it. I talked to it. I slept with it. I woke up with it. I was obsessed with guns, like the rest of my friends were. Had it on me all the time. I love how I feel. I love how it kicked. I love how it smoked. How I looked. I love how the handle was, how the grip handle was, or the pro handle. I loved all that about it. I even loved it so much I gave it a name. It makes you feel immortal. You got that rush, that adrenaline when you shot it. Or that sound. Or that double clock back. All those different things drives your emotion. It feeds your ego. And you're emotionally driven with that. And you think, all right, yeah, next time somebody gets in trouble with me, I'm going to use my gun. So that's the mentality that we had. Not even thinking about crime prevention. We're not even licensed to carry. But even talking about those who are licensed to carry. Some of them also get trigger happy and irresponsible with guns. Some of our gun owners believe they have a double-edged sword. Believe that since they are licensed to carry, they are licensed to kill. But not say all of them, because some of us carry guns for a relevant reason. Some people who possess guns legally carry guns for a relevant reason. You're a police officer, you're a security guard, your job requires you to carry a gun, you protect the money, You live in a house by yourself, you live in a dangerous environment, you work in a dangerous area, You walk home alone by yourself. You live with yourself and your kids. Yeah, so you use the guns for relevant reasons. You have a gun for a relevant reason. You possess a gun for a relevant reason. You have that right to protect yourself. So that is your God-given right. Even animals have that God-given right to protect themselves. The thing about gun control and gun education is that you have a lot of store purchasing all over America and make guns accessible. That's why you see in the city so many young people carry guns. Gun education is very much needed so we can have crime prevention some kind of way. In possession of a gun, we try to avoid some accounts or entertain different situations that take place. And because we are possessed of a gun, we are looking to engage in arguments or issues that can be surely avoided. So, those who have their ego boost or desire to someday use that gun outside of the range, on an individual person, looking for an excuse to shoot somebody. Okay? So a lot of things that goes on in our life sometimes can be prevented. My situation could have been prevented if I was thinking straight, but I wasn't. And a lot of other situations in Philadelphia and all over the country can be prevented. Because most of the homicides and the killings are based on dumb, petty arguments. The shootings are based on dumb, petty arguments. Right? But it's the simple fact that people got high levels of frustration and anger, like we mentioned before, and they have a gun. Legally or illegally. It doesn't matter. Because it's the individual behind the gun. It's the mentality behind the gun to cause a death or hurt with someone. Now we know some criminals have no regards for guns. Especially if you know you're out in the game and you have enemies. They don't care about the law. They don't care about the individual person. All they care about is protecting themselves and those who they love the most. Alright? But looking at those who license to carry a gun, and not really that much educated about guns or solving problems without using one. Sometimes they engage in situations that escalate the problem, opposed to deterring the problem. Case in point, just look at Trayvon Martin, a case we're all familiar with. Now, Trayvon Martin was walking down the street with a hoodie on. Zimmerman said he looks suspicious because somebody he probably ain't identified or recognized. Of course, he was just standing there because Trayvon was just staying in the neighborhood because he was suspended from school. So he spotted Trayvon Martin walking down. Now Zimmerman, at this point, don't have a gun. Just say he didn't have a gun. He calls the cops, tell the cops, look, I see a guy who looks suspicious. We had a lot of break-ins around here. I don't know what he is. I'm going to follow him, this and that. I send out help. Police say, all right, stand down. We send somebody out. Okay, so he didn't have a gun. He probably just followed him and followed him and followed him. Trayvon thinking like, who's this guy following me? I don't know who he is. He's scared. He's terrified. He's in a new neighborhood. He don't know who this guy, strange looking Puerto Rican and white guy is following him. So when Trayvon would have walked and the guy still following him, and instead of him jumping out of his car, he would have probably sat in his car and seen Trayvon pull out his keys, walk into the house of his father's girlfriend. And then that case would be resolved. Oh, he does live here. He does live in his neighborhood. He's going in that house. So he's not actually a stranger. He's not actually somebody walking around trying to rob somebody's house. He actually lives in this neighborhood right now, or staying in this neighborhood. But since he had a gun, even though he called the cops, Zimmerman had a gun now, so he said, all right, I'll call the cops. Cops are coming. Now I got an opportunity to go challenge this dude. Challenge Trayvon. So he jumps out the car, he runs over to him. Hey, get over here. They get into a scuffle, altercation. Trayvon's scared, turns around, start punching. They start fighting, and he get the best of him, Zimmerman. Zimmerman pulls out a gun. Instead of him saying, all right, look, freeze. Well, since he wanted to be a superhero, he should say, freeze, I'm a cop, whatever. But instead, he pulled his gun out. Or he could have just frozen. Ain't nobody gonna fight against a gun. Not even a kid or a grown man. I'm not gonna fight against a gun. You pull the gun out, tell me to stop, I'm gonna stop. So he didn't do that. He started out just shooting. Mentality behind the gun. His whole object was to kill somebody. And he could justify it because I'm licensed to carry. Alright? Same situation, another scenario. Jordan Davis. Quite sure y'all familiar with that story. Young man coming from the mall with his friends, pull into a gas station to get gas. Another individual comes in with his girl or his wife. Person who's licensed to carry. A gun collector. No weapons brandished by the young men. Playing their music. Turn your radio down. You scream, turn your radio down. Somehow they got into an altercation. He decides, the gun collector decides to shoot the young kid. Killed Jordan Davis. No gun in sight. No knife in sight. No nothing in sight. Just killed him. Mentality behind the gun. So even though you're licensed to carry a gun, don't mean that you're serving and protecting the community. And you have other people's best interests into your interests. And you're trying to avoid conflict. So the whole thing, those who have guns need to be sent to class for conflict resolution. Those who possess the guns. And that's one of my arguments. The mentality behind the gun. Guns don't kill people. Stupid people with guns kill people. And somebody say, well, why did you carry a gun? Or some people may even say that once a robber, always a robber. Once a thief, always a thief. Once a murderer, always a murderer. And some may beg to differ. And I beg to differ. Then there are some who question like, well, how did you change your mentality? How did you change that way? Simple. I haven't carried a gun in over 15, 16, 18 years. Right? Even though when I was released from prison, I came back to the same environment which I caused harm and danger to people. And also had enemies. I understood that. But I had a gun and I had a weapon, which was the best weapon that God ever given me. And it's the same weapon I had even the time I had the other weapon when I was young, was a gun. I just didn't know how to use it appropriately. And that was my intelligence. So today I do more thinking and more prevention than having to use a weapon to feel safe and secure. I feel safe and secure because of my decisions I make. I feel safe and secure because of what I surround myself around. I feel safe and secure because of the simple fact that I can see things that are different in my neighborhood. I feel safe and secure because I changed my mentality. So once I changed my mentality, I changed my way of talking. I changed my way of thinking. And then I changed my actions. And I changed my habits. And my habits will determine a better future for myself. My habits has determined a better future for myself. When you look at all these awards behind me, these newspaper articles, those citations, those plaques, all behind me, all because of the work that I've done. All because of the simple fact that I realized my potential. And I realized the real weapon is the weapon here. Change the mentality of the people. Crime prevention. Live and let live. That is the motto. If you feel as though you're in immediate danger, then of course you have to do what you have to do. But people who possess guns legally or illegally need to try to think about the consequences of your actions. Not just from the judicial or the system, but just for yourself and individuals around you who you may hurt. Don't engage in arguments. If you have a gun or if you don't have a gun, do not engage in arguments because you'll find and see that some of the things that we argue about are very small and minute. You have levels of anger and frustration, seek anger management. This is the help we need. So, to end the topic of the day, the mentality behind the guns, we must change our mentality in order to stop the shooting and the killing in America. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Will Little. Where there's a will, there is a way. My email address is littwilli@AOL.com. You can reach me on there. Thank you.